I love creating meals that truly nourish my family. I believe that good food doesn't have to be complicated. By cooking from scratch with wholesome ingredients, we can nourish our bodies, gather around the table, and make everyday moments feel a little more meaningful. Today, I'm sharing another balanced meal featuring plenty of protein, vegetables, and fiber rich foods that help keep our family satisfied and energized. Whether you're looking for simple dinner inspiration, healthy meal ideas, or just enjoy the rhythm of slow living, I'm so happy you're here. That being said, I'm starting today's dinner prep by making ice cream. One thing I truly believe is that healthy living is all about balance. Nourishing our families doesn't mean we have to avoid every treat. Yesterday, my kids requested vanilla ice cream for dessert, so I'm getting it ready for after dinner. I am keeping this vanilla ice cream really simple. It only takes a few basic ingredients like milk, heavy cream, sugar, and vanilla extract, and a pinch of salt. I'll whisk everything together and pour it straight into my ice cream maker. Some recipes recommend gently heating the milk and sugar first so the sugar dissolves completely. That does create an extra smooth base, but it also means waiting for the mixture to cook completely before churning. To keep things simple, I usually skip that step. I just whisk everything really well. This ice cream bowl has been in the freezer for a full 24 hours, so it's nice and cold. I'm pouring in the ice cream base, turning on the machine, and letting it churn for about 25 minutes. We'll just let the machine do all the work while I move on to preparing the rest of the dinner. I'm moving on to the fiber part of dinner. I've been soaking these green lentils for more than a day and they've just started to sprout, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Along with that, I've chopped onions and garlic. I tend to go through phases with onions. Some days I like them, some days I don't. But garlic is something I add every single day. Today, I'm using a full onion and keeping it in chunky pieces since everything will be pureed later. For seasoning, I'm keeping things very simple, just cumin powder and salt. I'll give everything a quick mix, then add in the sprouted green lentils. I would normally use bone broth for extra depth, but I don't have any today, so I'm just using water. Once it comes to a boil, I'll let it cook for about 25 minutes. The ice cream is just about done. I'm transferring everything into a container and put it in the freezer. I actually have two glass containers, but I only needed one. Dinner won't be for a few more hours. I'm not sure if that's enough time for it to fully set, but we'll see how it turns out. Moving on to the protein for today's dinner, I'm making carne asada tacos. For the marinade, I'm using garlic and lime, which I've been obsessed with lately. I've been adding this combo to almost all my meat dishes. I've got plenty of freshly squeezed lime juice, and I'm also adding the juice of two oranges. To that, I'll mix in a little oil, cumin, paprika, salt, and black pepper. I have this large piece of sirloin. I got this a few weeks ago and I cut it into small rectangular portions before freezing it. I wasn't entirely sure how I wanted to use it, but for today I'm going to take a few pieces. These are partially thawed. I like slicing them very thin, but still keeping the pieces wide and flat. I recently saw a technique where you start with partially frozen meat and then slice it in a way that creates larger, thin sheets of beef. I'm going to try that approach here and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it will work out okay. This cut had a thicker layer of fat on top, which I trimmed down before freezing. There is still a thin layer left, which I'm hoping will add some flavor and richness while cooking. It wasn't perfect, but I'll definitely try this again. If I wasn't filming, I would have prepped it the day before and let it marinate in the fridge for at least a few hours. The flavor was there overall. I just need to refine my cutting technique a bit more. I also want to slice some of this thinly for a beef shawarma recipe I'm planning for a weekday meal. It's really helpful to have the meat prepped and ready to go on busy days. I'll set aside a few pieces for that and slice them thin. The rest are still frozen, so I'll put them back in the freezer for later. Moving on to the vegetable part of today's dinner, I'm making braised collard greens. I've chopped up an onion and some garlic, and I'll start with that first. I like to take my time here and get a nice caramelization on the onions for extra depth of flavor. This is a large batch of collard greens. I'm starting by giving them a thorough wash. Then I'll separate the leaves from the thick stalks and cut everything into smaller pieces. It does take a bit of time to prep, but I don't really mind it. I usually work on it between other things happening in the kitchen. Maybe when the kids are a bit older, they'll help me with this part. They already ask if they can join me in the kitchen, but I prefer to keep them away from sharp knives for now. Still, I would love for them to be involved more as they grow. They really enjoy being in the kitchen, and I love having them there with me. Once everything is chopped into smaller pieces, I'll give the greens one more wash before cooking. The reason I decided to make collard greens is because I wanted to repurpose some leftover smoked ribs. My husband smoked the 3 racks just a couple of days ago, and this is what we have left. Instead of eating them as is, I thought they would be perfect in braised collard greens. I'm just separating the meat from the bones and shredding it into small pieces so it can mix into the greens as they cook. Again, I wish I had some bone broth, but this water will have to do. And the greens are going for their second wash. I actually have high hopes for these collard greens. This is the first time I'm adding smoked ribs, but I don't see it going wrong. It's very similar to using traditional ham hocks. I just know this is going to turn out really good. Now, what's Mexican food without guac? I'm making a quick, simple guacamole, just mashed avocado, lime juice, and salt. No extras this time. I'm cutting the avocado into small pieces and using the back of my knife to gently smash it so there are no large chunks. I'm keeping it really simple. The lentils are now fully cooked and have cooled down slightly. I'm going to use my hand blender to blend everything into a smooth, creamy soup. This will be for dinner for the whole family, and I will save some for tomorrow. I will also portion the rest into small containers and freeze it for later, so we are not eating the same soup every single day. I usually make bean or lentil soup every 2 or 3 days. I make a batch, then freeze the leftovers in small portions so I can easily rotate and mix things up during the week. I'm making a simple tortilla to go with today's dinner. My kids prefer it this way instead of just eating the meat on its own. I don't follow an exact recipe. I'm just using all purpose flour, salt, warm water, and adjusting it until the dough feels right. Once it comes together, I mix it for a few more minutes and then I stop. It is almost dinner time, so I'll start cooking them right away. I've got my cast iron griddle ready to go. I used to roll out all the tortillas before I started cooking, but one day I just decided to switch to rolling and cooking at the same time. It cut my tortilla cooking time in half, and I'm really grateful for that change. The tortillas are done in no time, so now it's time to grill the beef. It's finally dinner time, my favorite time of the day. I love sitting down with my family to enjoy a good meal together. We talk about everything that happened during the day. We share stories, we laugh a lot, and just spend time with one another. These moments around the dinner table are so precious to me. There's just one more thing left to do, and that's grilling the beef. It only takes a few minutes per side. Once it's cooked, I'll transfer it to a cutting board and let it rest for some time, and then slice it against the grain for tender and juicy pieces.